the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for all of the issues early with the YouTubes. I don't know exactly what's going on there with YouTube at the moment. I've got some issues viewing the channel and any other video on YouTube currently, and I'm not 100% sure if this live stream is going through, but we've got an extremely exciting night of racing in store for you. This is DRL TV, and we're live at Talladega Superspeedway for the Alabama 250. 250 heart-pounding laps around the fastest track in NASCAR history. This is the Dynasty Racing League Cup Series playoffs, and there's a lot on the line for every one of these drivers tonight. Every driver except Anthony Burrows, that is, with his win last week at Dover, Delaware. He's all but locked himself into the next round of these playoffs. All he has to do tonight and next week at Kansas is show up, and he'll find himself in the final 8. But for the other 11 drivers remaining in this playoff field, tonight is going to be huge. My name is Ryan Branch, and I'm joined in the booth tonight by none other than Martin Wenzel for what's shaping up to be a season-deciding race in the DRL's top series. Earlier this season, we had multiple surprise wins at restrictor plate tracks, and I don't expect tonight to be any different, with Hunter Johnson capturing his first win in the Cup Series at Talladega back in May, and David Wright sneaking in the victory in the waning moments at Daytona in the first race of the regular season. Tonight is anybody's race. Both wins for those two drivers were their only of the season, and both still remain in the playoff hunt, currently sitting 5th and 7th respectively. All of the excitement at Talladega, coupled with the fact that the car model has changed a bit since the last time we were here, and I'm hoping we have the recipe for some side-by-side, 2 or even 3-wide racing action at the end of this one, Martin. We all know everything can go wrong in a split second here. How do the drivers keep their cool under such tight conditions at 200+ miles per hour, and what do you want to see here tonight?
Well, they just gotta hold their line is the biggest thing. That's something you notice in a lot of these races. Cars wiggling around. Keep their line, and then make sure you're clear when you're moving over into that other lane of cars. Otherwise, you're gonna get turned sideways really quick.
Looks like we had a bit of a surprise there. John Theodore on the pole. We have seen different drivers than the usual 3 or 4 we see up front capturing pole positions on these restrictor plate tracks already this year. Nothing different tonight as John Theodore gets his first pole with the DRL. Mike Springer in the number 12 just behind him pushing hard, and Hunter Johnson in the 98 who grabbed this race in May sitting in 3rd currently.
Yeah, Alec Martinez stuck on that outside, and it's going to drop all the way back to the end of the field now. He started, I believe he was up in 3rd or 4th to start this race.
Yeah, he seems to be following all the way to the rear there.
Yeah, he started 2nd and got stuck on that outside kind of 3 wide and falls all the way back.
Yeah, not a whole lot you can do here at Talladega. It is a restrictor plate track. Drafting has a lot to do with your position on the racetrack, and he got stuck on the outside of the O2 of Joseph Helt, who was on the outside of that inner line, and now Helt is out there by himself. And unless he can get a shove from Hustad, looks like Hustad's going to pull down to the lower line. So
that outer line is gone. It's basically Helt's out there alone. He's got Presnall, it's Chris James in that Miller Lite, the patriotic Miller Lite car, and then David Wellborn still hanging out there. And those are the only 3 on that outside line now.
Yeah, I don't expect things to shake up too much here in the beginning parts of this race. It is a long race. We have 94 laps here at Talladega. The guys should run single file, be very, very patient, and wait until the closing moments of the race to make their moves. But again, lots of things can go wrong here. The smallest move in the corner. When you first enter the corner here at over 200 miles an hour, the car tends to move up the track. You got to hold it down there. And if you get this outside line trying to make something happen, and they're pushing down to the outside of the inside cars, can be a recipe for disaster.
Well, and coming into that tri-oval, is that the cars in that draft, they get a nice boost, and sometimes they suck up on the car in front of them. Sometimes you just need a lift going in, or you have to splay out and get into a second line.
Yeah, the cars.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, the cars in the back of this field can almost let off of the gas almost to about half throttle. Just because the cars in front of them, you know, with all the momentum they have, they will catch the back of the car in front of them quite easily. But The current package that they run on these Cup cars right now, you can't really get into the rear of the car in front of you. It's very hard to make contact, and when you do, that typically doesn't end well for the driver in front of you.
Yeah, but something that could happen now, it's not going to happen for Wade Hustad right now because he's sort of blocked, but he could, coming into this tri-oval, there could be a time when he gets so much speed that he just has to go up into an upper line, and if he can get some help, he could shoot right into first place. That's how much kind of momentum you have in that spot, in that line. And now, of course, it's too wide. Mark Johnson, Joseph Helt, Anthony Burrows leading that outside line.
Yeah, some of the feedback we got from the drivers, I feel like if you get 4 or 5 to go, you can make that outside line work. As you see the 98 here, Hunter Johnson, actually a car length in front of the 89 of John Theodore. Theodore will catch him in the middle of this corner, but as they come off the corner, so long as the push is good from the 02 of Joseph Helt, Hunter Johnson should be able to pull away. I feel like so much of it, Martin, has to do with the push from the guy behind. It's not easy to keep your car locked into the bumper of the guy in front of you. As the 98 of Hunter pulls down in front of the 89 of John Theodore, and we got our first lead change of the race here tonight.
Well, the big thing about it is this race also is if you're on that outside line, it moves, but it could fall apart within a moment. As soon as that leader decides, hey, I'm going to drop down in front of the low line, well, now you're left hanging out there all alone after pushing him to the lead, and now you're trying to get back down into that lower line so you don't fall back 10 positions. And that's sort of the position Joseph Helt is in now, that he's kind of just hoping to hang on with Anthony Burrows pushing him now.
Well, we're going to go down here to the track and follow along with Anthony Burrows. Everybody knows how good of a driver Anthony Burrows is, running in the 62 up there on the high line and that pink car that he's in tonight. And just see exactly what it's like to be on the bumper of the car in front of you and not really be able to know what's going on. As you guys can see here, he is all over the 02 of Joseph Helt, bouncing around the tiniest little movement in the car, which you're going to get entering every one of these corners.
Yeah, John Theodore went high, got into that high line, and makes the pass around Mark Johnson.
Yeah, it seems as if the high line is good to go from second to first, but the rest of the pack on the outside is unable to kind of make that push towards the front. Again, I think it has a lot to do with the guy who's pushing from behind. Anthony Burrows could be a little closer to the 02 here. They could be pushing him just a little bit harder. It's really a judgment call on the driver's part. You have to make the call of how close do you want to get, and you've got to be close enough to really, really shove that car in front of you. But if you get too close, it could spell disaster for everyone.
John Theodore looking for his first win of the season in the Cup Series. And I think that'd be his first DRL career win as well. And
yeah,
that would
Theodore
lock him into the next round.
Yeah, he joined us mid-season here in the Cup Series. Been racing really well. A lot of top 10s for John Theodore. I don't know the exact number of top 10s he's received this year, but he did miss the first 7 or 8 races of the season, was able to fight his way into these playoffs. You can tell by that red trim on the paint all around the bottom of the car. That does signify a playoff driver. So Theodore definitely fighting for his spot to get to this top 8. Hopefully make a run to Homestead where he can compete for a championship.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned Dustin Musial running 4th there. He's currently 12th in points, so he's got a lot of work to do, but he's in a good position for a good point stay. If he can stay here, now running 3rd, Mark Johnson. Hunter Johnson falling out into that outside line, dropping back quickly.
Yeah, the only guy he's got with him up there is Wade Hustad, currently in that number 32 car, so fell quite a ways back. You guys see here in the point standings, Dustin Musial, Martin was just talking about in the 22. He sits 12th right now, running 3rd here tonight so far, so Dustin Musial definitely needs a victory or to place very well this evening. Maybe get himself up in those points. Tight race we have. Musial 50 points back of the leader, 48 for Joshua Wakefield, 48 for Thomas Harmon, and 47 for Chris James. And then you can't leave out David Wellborn Jr. and David Wright there, the number 44. They're 46 points back from the leaders. So the only guys who really look safe here tonight, obviously Anthony Burrows, as I spoke about earlier with his win last week, but Wade Hustad, only 12 points back of Burrows in the 62. Hustad can rest easy no matter how he finishes tonight, Martin.
Yeah, Joshua Wickfield isn't out there running today, so that's going to be helpful for Musial. Joseph Helton and Jonathan Schwartz making a run on the outside.
It's really strange. It seems like sometimes that two-car pack is just nothing. You know, it can't move its way towards the front whatsoever, and then other times they make it work with those runs out of the corner. If you drop up out of the inside line at the perfect timing, you just have all that momentum that carries you to the outside. As you saw Mike Springer do there, he came up in front of the O2 of Joseph Helton, and now they're making a run towards the front.
Well, and you saw Mike Springer do that, just come up, and that's where you're going to have a wreck, is when you're trying to get in front of a line, or you're trying to get in, and even if you're just trying to get in front of someone you are going to try to link up with, to draft with, you know, if he just has a little bit too much speed and you don't clear him, that's going to be a wreck. It's going to take out quite a few of these contending cars.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, iRacing has a built-in spotter system for anybody who's not familiar, and a lot of these guys will actually have another person come in and spot for them on a track like Talladega, just to call it the second that it happens. You know, you don't get that late call that says outside, outside, as you're pulling up into that outside line and you end up causing a major wreck. So it's definitely, things can come down to split seconds here at Dega and deciding when it's time to move to that outer line and when it's time to just stay put. Help giving Mike Springer one heck of a push on that outside line. You can't even see the front end of Helt's car as he is all up on the rear bumper of the 12.
Yeah, and Hunter Johnson working his way back, getting some help from Caden Honeycutt.
When I would have liked to see Mike Springer stay out there on the outside line, but he does pull down in front of the 89 of John Theodore, who's also shoving him hard now. And now we're going to have Helt trying to fight his way to the front with the 58 of Schwartz pushing from behind. So I don't think two cars on the outside line, they're going to really make it work here, Martin.
Well, if they've kind of hopped out, and they hop out there and they get kind of a good run. And then usually what happens, it seems like one of these leading 3 or 4 guys, they'll hop out in front of that line, get the push, and then move back down, and leave a guy like Helt hanging. And that's sort of where Helt is now. He's going to probably have to slip in behind Wade Hustad.
You know, you talked about Caden Honeycutt. We see him here in the 37 running with those pink numbers for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in that Corey Busch Ford. Same paint scheme that John Theodore is running, just without the pink letters on Theodore's car. But Honeycutt's been very good these last few weeks. He currently sits in the 11th spot. I don't know how comfortable he feels here at Talladega. Could just be biding his time. Again, patience is key here tonight. All of these guys being very patient, keeping it relatively single file throughout the evening so far.
Honeycutt seems to me as a very confident driver.
Yeah, we got this outer line here, the 55 of Presnall, the 37 of Honeycutt, and the 98 of Hunter Johnson. They kind of pulled out a little bit, maybe to try to lose the pack of cars behind them as they were all running on that low line in single file, trying to ditch the rest of the field. And there's quite the gap now, Martin. If they lose that draft, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, there's no feeling like losing the draft and just hanging out there driving about 20 miles per hour slower than the rest of the field and watching them just disappear into the distance.
Yeah, definitely a big difference in speed here between the guys that are in that draft and the ones who aren't.
Well, the guys, I mean, there's that gap between, looks like Presnall. I think Presnall's on the tail end. Hopefully I don't lose the race here, but Presnall's on the tail end there, and then you got Sam Niederhelm leading that next pack of cars. As long as he's got that pack, they can catch back up.
Well, anybody is tuning in with us this evening, thank you for watching. I know we've had some issues with YouTube already tonight. Hopefully there are some people out there watching, and at the very least watching the recording after the race, so long as everything got transferred over properly. Hey, Martin, I don't know, man. This broadcast might just be futile. We might be talking to ourselves here, as I think YouTube is still down, and it's not just down here in the States, it's down around the world, so not 100% sure what's going on with that, but hopefully the uploading is still sending to a server, and the data's being tracked somewhere, and this upload will go up right after the race is over.
Hopefully there'll be a post, yeah. People can watch it in replay, hopefully.
You know, otherwise, Martin, we'll just hang out here and talk to ourselves for the next couple hours. No big deal.
All right, I need to get back into this race. Fortunately, iRacing decided to boot me.
Gotta love it. Well, I'm going to use this opportunity to take a quick break. Thank you to everyone again, those who are watching at home. We greatly appreciate you tuning in to watch the Dynasty Racing League here tonight. We're 17 in out of 94, and we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We will be right back with more live action here from Talladega Superspeedway.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Well, as you guys saw there, iRacing is the world's #1 motorsports simulator. There are many different series to race in iRacing, not just the NASCAR series like we have here. All of these ovals we love to run in the Dynasty Racing League. Back here in the back of the field.
More of those.
Yeah, we will have some Skip Barbers coming in the winter series. Some more road courses. The K&N cars on short tracks are going to be here. But you guys see Chris James here in the 82 and the number 44 of David Wright, along with the 60 of Sam Niederhelm, all the way off the pace here. They did lose the draft, but now that they have Sam Niederhelm, hopefully he can catch up to those two drivers. I don't know if Niederhelm suffered a little bit of damage, but if he can grab the draft of the 44 and the 82, they might not fall off too hard. As we go back to the front of this pack,
yeah, things look a lot different in the leader group here. Joseph Helt now on the bottom with Caden Honeycutt pushing him.
Yeah, Honeycutt able to move his way up through that field fairly well. We got Anthony Burrows on the outside, followed by Jonathan Schwartz and Dustin Musial, with Mike Springer in the number 12 in the back of that four-man group in the front, and then Joseph Helt, Caden Honeycutt on the inside with John Theodore and Wade Hustad making up that top four. And now you got 6 cars on the outside, Martin. It seems like the magic number seems to be 5. I mean, if there's 5 cars out there running, they seem to do okay. If you don't have at least 5, things go awry as the 58 of Jonathan Schwartz gets loose, and we're now 4 wide at Talladega. And there's the first big wreck of the race. It looks like the 96.
And no yellow, though.
The 96 of David Wellborn seems to be the short end of the stick there. We're going to go back and watch that one more time. I missed it by just a hair with the camera there. See exactly
I'm trying to see what happened there. Yeah, 58 kind of bumped out. That's really weird. Yeah, 58 got bumped out. I think then Musial kind of checked up. That forced the 12. 12 got into the wall, hit Mullins, and Mullins comes out, gets Connor Lane, and that takes out David Wellborn.
We're going to ride along here with David Wellborn in the 96. He sees a car disappear on the outside. And then the 27 of Connor Lane just comes right across the nose. Nothing David Wellborn could do to avoid that one. So
that's very unfortunate for Wellborn because Connor Lane also collected. It got Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson had some damage, but Eric Johnson's already out of the playoffs. David Wellborn, the big disappointment there because this is a race that he really needed. This is a race where he could have had, anything can happen, and unfortunately.
You see in the point standings here, Wellborn sits in 8th currently. So the good news for him tonight, Joshua Wakefield did not show for this race, so he will stay in front of Wakefield. But Wellborn's, he's hoping for another big wreck here tonight and have maybe some of these drivers taken out. He's just going to try to get back out there and run some laps. Let's go down to the track and pull David Wellborn in for an interview. There's no way he's going to be too satisfied with how that went down. Hey, David Wellborn, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Hey, it's Ryan up in the booth, man. Saw what happened there. The 27 of Connor Lane just pulled down in front of you. Nothing you could do to avoid that one, right?
No, I mean, it's Dega, baby. Yeah, going to either win it or lose it one. So, I mean, hey, it sucks to be sitting right there, see it happen, and back off a couple of times, and then get back up to the tail end of Chad, and next thing I know, I seen him go 3 wide coming off, and I knew it wasn't going to work. So,
yeah, it all started with the 58 of Jonathan Schwartz up towards the front. He got bumped out, and then things kind of went awry from there. I think Connor Lane was just trying to avoid him, but you're sitting 8th right now. Joshua Wakefield did not show up this evening, so worst case scenario, you'll be 11th after tonight's race. But get back out there, run some laps, and hopefully another big wreck happens for you tonight, and some of those other guys. Hopefully you can make up some laps on them.
Yeah, I still got 2 minutes of towing and probably about 15, 20 minutes of damage.
Yeah, I see the motor smoking there in pit lane, so you will be in the pits for a little while getting some of those repairs done. But again, anything can happen. We're not too far into this race, only about a quarter of the way in. So some of the other guys wreck out here in another 25 laps. You can always get a couple spots back, man.
Well, I'm assuming y'all got the broadcast working.
Yeah, we had some issues with YouTube early. I think we're still having issues. People can't view it. I'm hoping that it's streaming. I've gotten it to come in and out, and hopefully me and Martin aren't just sitting here talking to ourselves.
All right, well, I may be out of this race because my motor just blew.
Well, I hope that they can at least get it. I mean, 30 minutes, you still got time, but try to get as much as you can, man.
Normally when you hear kapow, they don't fix it. But well, we'll see. Y'all have a great broadcast if you don't.
Yes, sir. Best of luck.
All right.
Oh, that was David Wellborn. Cannot be happy with the way this thing went. I know he was feeling pretty confident coming into Talladega, so we did have Chris James pulled away. Actually, Chris James stayed out, so no pit stop for Chris James. He has 25 laps on the tires currently, and he doesn't need a pit stop yet, Martin. So long as another caution comes out before lap 50 or so, he will be okay on fuel.
Yeah, tire fall off isn't too much here. It's not as big a deal, but I think, obviously the difference in tires, there must be something to it. I had some issues in the NIS on the final restart. I think I had older tires than some of the people behind me, and they were able to just kind of roll by. So we'll see how it goes. It's not going to be as big of an issue as a track, as someplace like Vegas or Kansas or Atlanta with, you're going to spin your tires, or Dover last week, right? You don't stay out on old tires at Dover. Nothing good's going to come of that. But Talladega is a different animal. It's mostly about the pushing. So we'll see what Chris James can do here. He's taking a gamble. He wants to lead some laps. And that's what he's going to do on this restart.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well take the gamble. If another caution, there's a lot of drivers in this race, Martin. I know we only have a field of, what, 22, 21 cars, so, but there's a lot of opportunity for something to go wrong. We talked about it earlier. We followed along board there for a little while with Anthony Burrows and saw just how tight and how the smallest little adjustments can cause the car to wiggle all over the track, so hopefully another, well, I don't hope a caution comes out, but that's what he's hoping for, you know. Hopefully he gets a caution. He doesn't have to come in all by himself to get fuel, and maybe he has a teammate or two that'll pull in with him around lap 55 or 60, so they can make it the rest of the way on fuel, you know. There is still a pit window that's going to happen. These guys can't go to lap 94 on the current amount of fuel in the car, so maybe if you guys will pull down early and go with Chris James and try to keep him out front.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that these drivers have to do tonight, is they have to kind of group together and figure out, hey, who's going down pit road when, especially if they need to do a green flag stop. Otherwise, if it's all if we get yellow flags at the right moments, we won't really see any of those green flags, but the green flag stops here are way more important than almost any other track, because you do need to have a partner or two going down with you. Otherwise, you're going to be basically right out of the race.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I would say you need a partner 4 to go down with you. But
yeah.
I have noticed, broken up inside of all the radio channels tonight, there are larger groups than normal, all paired up together. So I think some guys from different teams may be working together this evening. And you can always do that thing, you know, if you're running in the back of the field. I did it the other night in one of the official races. I was running in the back of the pack, and I knew there was about 4 guys in the race with the same paint scheme. I knew they were all part of the same team, and I just waited until they went down pit road, and I followed right behind.
Stick with them.
You know, and if you're one of those guys towards the rear and you can pull down with a big group, well, hey, you're set for the rest of the race.
Yeah, Chris James takes off with Honeycutt pushing. Now on the outside, John Theodore with Wade Hustad pushing. And that outside line's falling back.
Yeah, a little bit slow at the beginning of this race. They just lost 2 of the drivers, too, as Hustad dips to the inside with Jonathan Schwartz. So now you got John Theodore and Dustin Musial stuck on that outside line. Hopefully the rest of this field can catch up to him from behind and push him back up there towards the front.
The outside line. Are pulling down. They're pulling down into that line with very little gap to get in. They work their way in there. Yeah, that's showing off some of the skill. I mean,
they don't want to be stuck out there, that's for sure. And there goes John Theodore. Swerves down in front of the O2 of Joseph Helt, trying to take the position behind the 55 of Chad Presnall.
And now they're going to leave Chris James all alone. Wow, that whole line just said, we're going past Chris James.
And multiple guys moving up to the outside. Caden Honeycutt not wanting to give up his lead, but he's got the 62 of Anthony Burrows, who swings up to the outside. And now he's got the 32 of Wade Hustad pushing just behind him. So Hustad and Anthony Burrows currently lead the point standings. And they said, hey, guess what? We want to be in the front of this pack. See the 68 of Thomas Harmon there. Looks like he's in a new paint scheme tonight. I don't know if there's still some Averill on the car or not. I can't tell from this far away, but he's changed things up just a little bit. Maybe running a more S2R-esque scheme this evening.
Yeah, it still is an Avril Lavigne. It's just,
it is. I got a closer look of it now. It kind of just changed up the rear bumper and stuff on it. The 55 of Chad Presnall there running the Arcos 55. And then you got the 04 of Jim Westerfield just to the inside of him, as looks like these guys are making this outside line work again.
Yeah, we've seen quite a bit of a shuffle. And Dustin Musial all alone right now in between these 2 packs, kind of just in no man's land, hoping Alec Martinez and maybe Matthew George. It looks like Matthew George and David Wright are working together. But other than that, it's kind of scattered back there. Mike Springer and Eric Johnson working together, trying to get back up there.
Yeah, Dustin Musel's kind of been left out in no man's land as the 30 of George tries to catch up from behind. David Wright fell off prior, and Eric Johnson was the one who fell off at the very beginning of this race. He went to the back after starting in second place. So,
no, that was Alec Martinez. Alec Martinez started second place. But Eric Johnson got collected in that with Connor Lane there. That also took out David Wellborn.
I mean, the only guy I would really expect to be in the rear here is definitely Connor Lane, as he did receive some damage. John Mullins is trying to push him from behind, but Eric Johnson, Mike Springer, who ran up front most of the night.
I'm not sure what happened to Springer. Yeah, Springer and Musel are the two guys that kind of fell back, who weren't involved in that wreck.
To go back up front, Thomas Harmon did have the lead coming across the start-finish line last time by on that outside line, so he does receive the bonus point for a lap led.
You know, Chris 55 James is pushing Hunter Johnson.
Yeah, Presnall pushing Harmon up to the lead now, and he's going to leave him out to dry.
Hey, these guys are shuffling around. Just a few laps ago, Burrows was up there, and now...
Yeah, Burrows and Honeycutt both were up towards the front.
8th or 9th.
Now we've got Honeycutt running in the 10th spot with his teammate John Theodore there in the 89. And Anthony Burrows all the way back to 8th, so... Honeycutt and Theodore need to be very careful here not to lose the draft, trying to run on the outside of the number 4 of Jim Westerfield here. You got to pick and choose your battles, Martin. Sometimes you just need to stay in that line and run with those cars that you're with, not try to make a move on them, because things can go very wrong at Talladega when you don't have multiple cars to draft with. We see more teammates. Wade Hustad jumps to the outside with the 55 at Presnall. Those guys definitely teammates and have worked together all season. Looks like the gap might be closing just a little bit for the 22 of Dustin Musel and the number 30 car of Matthew George. Seems like they've been able to maintain the draft here. They just need to get right back up to the back end of this pack and try to run with these leaders again. We're 33 in here out of 94. The only two guys really in the back of the field there is John Mullins and Alec Martinez in the 92. David Wellborn might have left the service at this point. He might be done for the night. So Wellborn
Alec
definitely
Martinez
not
looked
pleased after this evening.
I'm not sure what Alec Martinez was trying to do, but it looked like he was trying to go down pit road or something, and he kind of went through the grass, and I don't think he made contact with the inside wall, but he's now completely out of it. No one with him. Driving around about 175 miles per hour.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but he is not a part of this playoff race, correct?
He is not, and that's a big fall for him, though, because he started this race second, and now he's he could be back in 20th, I believe. John Mullins is still out there, right? Well, John Mullins is also in the pits. So he will have, if John Mullins will wait for him, he'll have a partner.
It looks like both of those guys deciding to come down together. Better than running out there all by yourself, but it is going to take them time to be in the pits. Looks like Musel and Matthew George is there in the 30. They still have the end of that draft from that lead pack, and the next 4 guys seem to kind of be out all by themselves out there, starting with David Wright, then Stan Niederhelm, Mike Springer, and Eric Johnson. So great work by the 22 and the 30, pushing really hard and being able to keep up with that lead pack's draft. You know, again, Martin, I think a lot of it comes down to the guy that's behind. Because if you're just not all over his bumper, which is really hard to do, because you can't see anything that's going on. You have nothing but a bumper in your face. You can't even see the tarmac in front of you. I mean, all you can see is the bumper of another car. And if he wiggles a little to the left and you follow, and he immediately wiggles a little to the right, well, you're behind on both moves. You're going to end up touching him in the wrong spot, and, you know, it can really spell disaster, so.
Oh yeah, the hard part is the wiggling, and you see it even on the straights where the car in front just wiggles back and forth. It's really hard for that guy behind to give you any push or anything if you're wiggling. And then going into the turn, if you don't know where you are going into the turn, you can fly right up into the wall because you can't see anything.
Well, now it seems everybody in the inside line ditched out, pulled up high, said, hey, maybe we'll go out here and try to gain some speed and leave 4 cars out to drive. But the 32 of Hustad pulls back down to the inside. Chris James decided to join him there in the 82. Now Chris James falling off the pace a little. So Chris James starting on that last restart. He has the oldest tires out there right now. 37 laps on the tires of the 82. He did start in the front, and he's all the way back to the 11th spot now. So just going to show, even at a place like Talladega, the tires matter to a certain extent, Martin.
Yeah, I wonder if they're all going to try to get single file here for a while.
So John Mullins is still down there on pit road. Alec Martinez is out running all by his lonesome in the 19th position. So Mullins must have had something else go catastrophically wrong with the vehicle. He is sitting.
I wonder if there was
currently.
There was some blinking going on with him and Connor Lane, so I wonder if they might have made contact or if that's just all it is. He's sitting down there hoping the internet connection comes back. But all kinds of stuff going on tonight.
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't look like he has disconnected from the service, but he is sitting on pit road. And Chad Presnall still leading. You know, the guy we've seen up front the most, I would say, tonight is the 02 of Joseph Helt. Seems to always find himself in these top 3 or 4 positions, Mark.
Yeah, he's just been hanging up there. Him and Jonathan Schwartz making some moves earlier in the race to get up there, and yeah, he's sticking around second place.
He's not one who's giving it up at all. I mean, we saw Caden Honeycutt work his way up to the front earlier, but then he lost it completely, falling all the way back to 10th or 11th position. The 02 of Joseph Helt just making the right moves at the right time as he now pulls up in front of the 32 of Wade Hustad. So we'll see if Hustad decides to go around him. Looks like he's going to come right up to the rear bumper. He has the 37 of Honeycutt and the 62 of Anthony Burrows pushing just behind. So that outside line, definitely 4 of the better drivers here in the Dynasty Racing League. Those guys come out every week and prove how good they really are, but they definitely have some competition there on the inner line. You have the 55 of Presnall, who seems like minor mental errors are the only thing that's kept him from multiple wins here in DRL. And the 68 of Harmon, who did get himself a victory, I think, at Texas this year.
And Chris James going down pit road. Going to be getting some fresh tires and probably some fuel.
Yeah, so Chris James, again, I was talked about it earlier. He needs a teammate to come down pit road with, and we see him pitting here on lap 40. So I don't know, maybe nobody could even make it from this point. So it might not have been right for somebody to pull down with him, but I know David Wright is a part of his team. So not sure. I don't know. Wright's in that second pack. He wasn't up there with the leaders, so him and Chris James couldn't exactly pit at the same time. That leaves Chris James out to dry, and now he will run his way around this track with nobody to draft with, Mark.
Yeah, and it's a really long drive around this track with no one to draft with. 2.5, oh, not even 2.5 miles, 2 2.2 miles.
You see James, he pulls up onto the backstretch here.
He can snag in here.
It would be great if he could catch up to this draft, but I just don't think he has the speed going into it. Maybe able to catch up to the tail end of the 30 of Matthew George and lose George and Musel to pull his way back up into that front pack, but I just don't think the car's up to speed yet.
Hunter Johnson trying to make that outside line work with Jonathan Schwartz, but just not enough help. Jim Westerfield thinking about it. But Thomas Harmon drops back down to the low line, so it's going to be Schwartz and Johnson on the outside. Top 4, Presnall, Theodore, Hustad, and Burrows.
Whoa. 37 of Caden Honeycutt wiggles to the outside. Hustad pulled up a little bit there too, and now Honeycutt and Hunter Johnson out there all alone.
Some of these moves.
The 58 of Schwartz pulls up. Yeah, the moves are very quick and precise, Martin. I mean, they get out there so fast.
Yeah, and they're so close. I'm thinking they're going to spin someone out, and they haven't done it yet, so.
Now you got the 92 of Alec Martinez. He really just wants to pull down here and be able to stay with these guys, get as much draft as possible. But like you said earlier, it's literally a 20-mile-per-hour difference between these guys running out here so low and the rest of the field. Connor Lane, same thing there in the 27. I think all these guys should be able to tuck in here and run with the lead pack, but Connor Lane definitely has a little bit of damage from earlier. I feel like he might have some troubles.
He needs to get in there now. Well, he can get in there in front of Alec Martinez, and so.
As we see those two come around, I think that the thing that's really going to hurt him is that Connor Lane has a little bit of damage on the car. So the 92 pushing behind him might actually slow him down a bit. I think they would have been in a little bit better situation if the 92 was actually in front of the 27 of Connor Lane. But
yeah, I can't. Like I looked at the video of 92 going down. I can't remember if he actually touched the wall or not. He might have gotten the car stopped, so he might be completely clean, and so it'd probably be better for him to be in front, as you said.
As we go back, we do still have a completely separate group of drivers. It looks like Chris James was able to jump in with them, so maybe tried to jump in with them. The 44 of David Wright, the 21 of Eric Johnson. Then you have the 60 of Sam Niederhelm, and Mike Springer in the 12 has completely lost the draft as well, so he's out there running all by himself. These three drivers look like they were trying to pick up the 82 of Chris James, but unable to do so as they begin to run away from him.
Well, something we haven't talked about all day, and I've been noticing up here with the leaders hearing over the radio, is overheating. Those cars behind, if you're staying in that bumper, you're not getting as much air into the car, and so the heat, your water heat and stuff like that. And so people have been bouncing out. We saw Honeycutt go from, I think he was right behind John Theodore. He jumped out and fell back just because he was trying to get some clean air.
Yeah, you'll see that the inside line guys on these straightaways, they'll drop down into that apron and try to get a little fresh air on the front of the car, and somebody will sneak into their spot and they'll have to drop to the back of the pack. And then same thing for the outside guys. If you try to drop out just a little bit, you let 3 or 4 cars right around you. Number one priority, definitely keeping the car cool, keep those oil temps down, and make sure you're not going to blow the motor. Because we still have, what are we? We're right at the, almost coming to the halfway point.
About halfway.
We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We're 46 in here out of 94. Hopefully there are some people tuning in. I know there are some issues with YouTube currently. I'm going to maybe check on that while we are away, but we will be right back here with the Dynasty Racing League at Talladega Motor Speedway, or Super Speedway, I apologize, in just a couple minutes.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
We are back. Another caution flag here in DRL's race at Talladega. Well, what happened there, Martin? I saw the 55 of Presnell came down. Barely got on pit road.
Yeah, that was basically what I was talking about, those quick moves we saw, and it doesn't even look like it was a quick move. It just looks like John Theodore was on the outside line, and he just came down too far on that outside line, pinching down. But how far he came down looked like he was trying to get into the lower lane, but I don't think he was trying. If he was trying to do that, his spotter, there's a lot of bad things going on there, because he was about halfway. Half of Presnell's car was still there. It wasn't even just like a hook or anything. It was almost a whole door slam coming down into that lane. So just a miscommunication, or it just came down too far driving on that outside line. Gets into Presnell, that collects a few cars. I'm going to go back and see who all got collected. Sure, here.
Now you see the 89 of Theodore just pulls right down in front of the 55 there. Not much else that he could do. Takes out quite a few of these cars. Presnell taking the brunt of the damage there, but...
Yeah, it looks like he just... I don't know. It's like if he was trying to get down there, because if he was trying to get down there, his spotter didn't do him a good service at all.
Watch these guys race out pit road. It looks like Wade Hustad followed by Jonathan Schwartz are going to be the first 2 cars off. You got Anthony Burrows, David Wright there gets off. So some of these drivers needed that desperately.
Yeah, I'm looking at who got collected in that. Harmon got collected, Jim Westerfield, and the big damage for Joseph Helt. Joseph Helt got his whole front end mashed by both him and Presnell going into the wall about the same time.
I just got a report from Tater Bowman in the league. Says YouTube is back up. I don't know if he's got the stream right now. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I know YouTube is loaded, like the site is loading, but I don't know if videos are playing yet.
I'm still getting an error has occurred on the stream currently, so.
Yeah, you could get, I think YouTube itself will now load. You can see all the videos, but then you click on something and nothing will actually, it'll give you an error saying it won't play. Yep. Error occurred. Please try again later. So they've at least gotten the site back up, but the videos themselves are not playing yet. So
Joseph Hope there took a lot of the damage. He's been on pit road for 180 seconds now, so over 3 minutes down pit road for the O2 of Helt, who we talked about just a little while ago. He's been running up at that front all night tonight. I'm
surprised Presnall is back on the track already, considering he went into the wall. You know, he went into the wall head on right in front of Joseph Helt, causing that damage. It looks, yeah, he's going to go back down pit road. So he probably got repaired as much as he could get repaired. Probably not all required. And he's going to go back down and.
Yeah, I mean, the 55's missing the whole hood right now. The front bumper is all crinkled up. And, I mean, Talladega puts a burden on the engine. So if you don't get all those repairs, you'll blow a motor here in no time. Got Sam Niederhelm there in the 60. He pulls back off of pit road. 12 of Mike Springer is away. The 58 of Jonathan Schwartz.
Yeah, just a little bit of cosmetic damage for Theodore. Just a little bit on that left side.
It looks like
otherwise,
Chad Presnall has disconnected. Caden Honeycutt has disconnected. So those guys might just be calling it a night.
Yeah, I'm wondering why Honeycutt.
I don't know. I talked about it earlier here, though. But David Wellborn, who currently sits 22nd in this race, being so many laps down like he is, I don't know why Wellborn didn't stick around. He really could have gotten some laps back and been able to get out here and get some of his positions back. He's going to be kicking himself for this one when it's over.
Yeah, Honeycutt got caught up in that as well. He got into the rear end of Thomas Harmon and mashed up the front end, so probably had some severe engine damage from that, if not a blown engine. That's all it takes, just a little tap on the front and your engine could be gone. So yeah, Joseph Helt, Chad Presnall, John Mullins, Honeycutt, all out of their cars. Yeah, that is sometimes Sometimes you just gotta be patient and see if you can get back out on the track, because if you can run enough laps, you can gain quite a few positions.
So here, the 92 is the guy out in the front. That is Alec Martinez. He is waiting for the wave around. Currently has only 4 laps on his tire, so he was down pit road when this caution flew. So he'll be able to get a lap back as these guys come to 1 to green. He will go around the pace car and catch the rear of the field and be at the tail end of it, only 1 lap down. And he'll sit just behind Chad Presnall and Chris James in the 82. So that'll actually put Alec Martinez only having to get around the 82 of Chris James in order to get the lucky dog on the next caution flag. So if another caution comes out tonight, that'll be a good situation for Martinez or Chris James, one of the two.
Yeah, we have David Wright, John Theodore, Schwartz, Springer, and Sam Niederhelm all come down pit road. Jim Westerfield. Looks like Wright just got a little bit of a splash of gas. I think that's all they're getting, a lot of them. Looked like a splash of fuel for a few of them. Springer looks like he's getting some tires.
Oh, we did see. Who was it that stayed out that long? It was Chris James in the 82 stayed out in that first stint. Yep. He was out there for exactly 40 laps, and if you look at the lap counter currently, there's 55 out of 94. That leaves these guys right at 40 laps to go. So, Martin, this could come down to a fuel race here at Dega. We could see things get pretty exciting. I mean, it might not be a good thing to be out there leading right now. You know, if you're out in the front, you're leading currently, and you're using up all your fuel to stay out there in the front of this pack, what's going to happen? I mean, towards the end of this race, you're going to need to pit with 3 laps to go, and some of the guys who've been running in the back the whole time are going to get a free win. This could come down to fuel, Martin. Well, I have just gotten a report from a couple guys, Martin, that the broadcast is actually working. I'm glad that, you know, we haven't just been sitting here chatting with ourselves all night, but YouTube seems to be slowly fixing some of the server problems. I know it was kind of targeted in a few areas, but almost everybody in the world that is part of the Dynasty Racing League has said that there has been issues tonight. So hopefully YouTube has captured all of that information, gets it loaded up after the servers all come back online, and most of these guys can watch the race take place after the fact.
I just said, what? I'm trying to see.
Yeah, I like to do
Connor
it
Lane.
throughout
I thought
the
Connor
week.
Lane said like, I thought Connor Lane said like they've been hacked by Pakistan or something. It's like, all right, seems weird.
I like to do it throughout the week. I'll go back and watch the video from the previous week just to see, you know, some of the minor mistakes and things. But pace car does come down pit road, and we will wait all the way until the green flag. That's the thing at Talladega, is taking off early doesn't really do you any favors, because by the time the first corner gets there, you got a train coming behind you, and you're slower than all of them, and you end up getting ran over. So like to start this thing when everybody knows that it's coming. Got the 62 there of Burrows on the outside. Kind of all by himself. The 30 of Matthew George just behind him. We saw him separated from the rest of the field earlier, so good that Matthew George got himself back up here. The 22 of Dustin Musial got himself back up towards the front, and Thomas Harmon, who did get a little bit of damage earlier, seems to be off the pace a bit here. Looks like we got a lot of cars off the pace, Martin, as nobody's really catching each other too quickly, and I think these guys are going to lose that lead pack fairly quick. Then they go to the outside, led by the 27 of Connor Lane, passing Thomas Harmon. So I think Harmon just slowing everybody down a little bit there, and that might come to hurt everyone over time, because I don't know if they'll be able to catch it back up to this lead pack or not.
Did you mention Eric Johnson in second there?
I did not. No, he started
Eric
this
Johnson all the way back up to second. I mean, he
was one of those guys who was
19th.
back there with the 30 of Matthew George in that last stint of Green Flag Racing. George had
he had
lost
been-
it. Dustin Musial lost it.
Yeah.
Eric Johnson, all of those guys, and now they're back up running towards the front of the field.
Well, you can see that crinkle in his hood there, and that's from that first yellow flag when Connor Lane came down. He caught him and took out David Wellborn completely. Eric Johnson was the other car involved, and he has that damage, and he had fallen all the way back, and here he is in second place. So Talladega, stay out. If you can stay out there and survive, good things can happen.
Well, this is one of those situations too, Martin. I've been in it many a times. The 21 of Eric Johnson does not want to be the last car in a group, because if he's the last car, he has nobody pushing him from behind. That front aero damage is really going to come into play, and he's not going to be able to maintain his position. But so long as he sandwiches himself between a car in front of him and a car behind him, he has a good chance of finishing this race in the top 5 as they currently run.
Well, in this top 5, it's just an interesting group of cars right here. You got Hustad, Hunter Johnson, and Anthony Burrows have been up there all day. And then Eric Johnson and Matthew George had to work on that last green flag stint to get into this position. And if this race goes the rest of the way and they can just hang up there, they've had a good day.
That's what I was saying. Stay on the lead lap, wait for that next caution flag to come out, and if it does, well, you find yourself in a nice spot. So those guys able to capitalize.
The next group as well is Dustin Musial and Connor Lane. You know, they're 6th and 7th, and
we know they had
after what
some
happened to
major
Connor
issues
Lane,
earlier.
and then Dustin Musial just kind of fell off the pace. You know, not damage or anything, but Connor Lane was the guy that brought out that first yellow, and here he is running 7th. So again, 59 laps in, and you're still running up there after everything that's gone on. I mean, these races can be an adventure.
Looks like the 98 car there of Hunter Johnson. He keeps poking out a little bit, you'll notice in the corners. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or not, but maybe trying to keep the car a little cool. As a 21 of Eric Johnson pushing Hustad hard. He's that guy who wants to be sandwiched, like I talked about a couple minutes ago. If he pushes too hard on the 32, he's going to get the car too hot, and he's going to find himself in a bad spot.
Well, I think what happens, you can see Hunter Johnson pops out again, is that he probably is trying to cool it off a little bit, but it's also he's just right up on Eric Johnson's bumper, and at one of these points he's going to shoot out, and probably coming into this tri-oval, as I said, yeah, you get a lot of speed coming out of that turn 4 into the tri-oval. sometimes there's that third, fourth, fifth car in the pack. You just have to shoot out and make your own line for a little bit.
Yeah, you see Matthew George in the 30 dips out a little bit, loses a little time off of the 98. I think really what these top 5 drivers want to do at the moment is just try to stay single file as best they can and pull away from that pack that's behind them, because if they can put a gap on them, that makes the race a whole lot more interesting for those 5, because they can make their moves a little bit more comfortably knowing, hey, we got some time on this field that's behind us. Even if something goes wrong, hopefully we can stay on the track and still finish well. So I think we got 33, 34 laps until we're really going to see the exciting action, Martin. There's so many times we've seen Talladega come down to that very last lap finish, and I think we had, you know, similar thing. Daytona this year, at Talladega earlier this year. Those lap finishes have just been absolutely amazing.
Well, yeah, going if these guys go too wide too early, it's just gonna let that second pack catch up, and they're gonna have a head full of steam as well. They'll zip right by. So this front pack wants to stay single file until, as long as they can, probably until the end of the race, and that's when you're gonna see them probably go 3-4 wide and cross the finish line.
Well, time before last, when they came around, the 27 of Connor Lane actually ran the fastest lap on the track with a 48.078. So that second pack of cars is going just as fast, if not a little bit faster than the front pack of cars. And then the third pack of cars back, they don't seem to be maintaining speed too terribly either. I mean, they're doing all right for how they are, but they really need to get single file and run with all 5 of them in a line. They need to stop trying to do this too wide thing. If they would just buckle down and go 5 cars in a single line, they would be able to push their way to the front a lot better. They need to decide in that pack over the radio, come over, chat with each other, and say, hey guys, who's the best one at pushing? Put somebody in front of them and make a run to try to catch up to the rest of this field. So I talked about earlier, pushing is not the easiest thing to do here. The smallest little wiggle of the guy in front of you, and it's impossible to stay all over his bumper, and that's what you have to do to maintain optimal speed here at Talladega. Well, Martin, we see a lot of familiar faces running out. Well, I can't say a lot of familiar faces. We see a couple unfamiliar ones in Matthew George and Eric Johnson, who sit 4th and 2nd respectively. But Wade Hustad and Anthony Burrows still sit comfortably in the top 5. And I think Burrows has a bit of a streak to maintain here tonight, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
This guy absolutely impressive. What is it, 24 races this season, and all 24 races he's finished in the top 5. Unreal from the 62 of Burrows, and he looks poised to capture another top 5 here tonight.
Yeah, top 5, same order. They haven't really made any moves. But opening that gap is getting wider and wider.
It is getting big now. I talked about Connor Lane posting the quickest time a little bit ago. He has now fallen to the end of this field. He kind of had that same thing that Eric Johnson had, where if he didn't have a car behind him, he wasn't going to be able to keep up with him, and you saw that. When he dropped to the back of the pack, he immediately lost the draft, and there's nothing he can do to get it back with the damage that he received earlier in the race. So
it sounded like the radio chatter that they were asking him to drop out of that pack because he was slowing them down, even though he was going as fast as most of the cars are going out here when they are in front of the pack. I mean, he was going 202 miles per hour, so...
Well, they did say that, but it seems now that the 22 of Dustin Musial, who now runs in the front of that pack, seems to be gaining a little bit of time. We'll see this time as they come across the start-finish line. Wade Hustad, who's in the front of the pack, in the front of the front pack, he ran a 48.2 the last time by. We'll see what Dustin Musial posts here as this next pack of cars comes across the start finish. So 48.584. So I don't think it was Connor Lane at all that was causing those issues. That lead pack is simply just running faster, Martin.
Yeah, well, it's strange how Connor Lane was going, you know, easily going 200 miles per hour, but they were losing time, and now Musial's going a couple miles per hour slower, and they're gaining actually, so kind of a weird quirk. But that pack, yeah, they are. You know, I can't even see the lead pack.
Yeah, if you look at that onboard camera of Dustin Musial
Yeah,
out there in the
there.
front of the second pack, they see those cars running forever behind, so not in the draft whatsoever, the pack in front of them. Well, it looks like a 5-car race at this point, Martin, unless another caution comes out. And, well, it's Talladega. I kind of expect it to happen at some point. We are going to go down to the racetrack and listen to the sights and sound of the Dynasty Racing League now, though, as we turn up the volume a little bit here. So we did have a couple of the drivers here in the Dynasty Racing League that were actually able to attend the Talladega race last week in real life in NASCAR. Things are so loud down there on the track, Martin. It's kind of cool to go down and watch and hear exactly how loud these cars are and watch what they can do at at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, it is. I've been, when I was a lot younger, I went to a few races at the Milwaukee Mile, and you definitely need those earplugs.
That's for sure. One place you need them, Bristol, I guess. I haven't actually been myself, but friends, family members, etc., that have been to Bristol, the last great Coliseum, I guess it just echoes off the walls there at Bristol. These cars have so much horsepower. The sound they put out is unbelievable, but it's reverberating off the walls all night. You do always have that crazy drunk fan who's down there by the actual fence. You know, with no earplugs on, standing right next to the cars as they do, 200 miles per hour right next to his ear, and all the staff and stuff has to push him back constantly. That's one weird thing you notice here at Talladega is the stands are actually set back a little bit from the wall.
Yeah, there is you just notice that, yeah.
There's a bit of a gap there. They actually have some grass between the stands and the wall itself, so most of the tracks you'll see... I mean, the walkway, the walkway where the fans are walking is right next to that fence. So.
I wonder if that's a safety thing for Talladega, just because you do get those crazy wrecks and stuff that you can see at Daytona and Talladega. Cars flying
it's
into
gotta
those catch fences.
Where there's just shrapnel and stuff coming off of the cars themselves when they touch that
Maybe
wall.
Just a little bit of a, give it a little bit more room for that that debris.
Some of them actually go airborne, and then they touch that metal fence and it breaks the car up into 1,000 pieces and sends it out into the crowd. So probably just another safety
whenever you see those
precaution.
crashes, I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm looking back here. I'm just looking at going through the race here, and I'm looking at some drivers who, were having a good beginning of this race and now are kind of just hanging around. John Theodore was running up front, was on the pole, and now he's running 12th and kind of in that third pack, hanging with Sam Niederhelm, Thomas Harmon, and then Chris James pushing him. So, not the finish she was hoping for today.
Yeah, he did start the race in first place. Maybe got tangled up in some of that stuff earlier and then was unable to maintain a spot in that lead pack, but...
Well, that was that. He was the one that kind of caused that last caution break coming down into Chad Presnall, knocked out a few big drivers, and I'm not sure if he had some damage or if the damage was just enough to make it that he couldn't hang with that top pack.
Well, speaking of Chad Presnall, he currently runs in 17th. He is the most recent car to park the vehicle. So him, Joseph Helt, Caden Honeycutt, John Mullins, and David Wellborn Jr. all out of this race tonight. So, I don't know, that's going to change up the standings a little bit. Presnall, I think, was doing okay as far as points go. We pull it up here. He was only 29 back, the leader. So it's going to hurt him a little bit, Martin, but I don't think he's going to fall out of this top 8 after that one.
He'll be good for getting into the next round, I think. And then, of course, the points reset, and he'll move back into third.
Yeah, again, I mean, David Wellborn Jr. is the big one. He is the only car out there that was really on that cut line that is down on pit road right now. So everybody else, besides Joshua Wakefield, who's not running here tonight, is still in this race. Thomas Harmon, Chris James, David Wright, John Theodore, all of those guys, and Dustin Musial, all of those guys are still running.
And we got action. So. Action in the lead pack. Mark Johnson and Eric Johnson went to the outside. And Hunter Johnson, Mark Johnson, now slides into first position in front of Wade Hustad. Now Eric Johnson hanging out there all alone on the outside, and with that damage, he's probably going to fall to the back of this pack if he can't slip in front of Matthew George.
Yeah, George lets him in. Surprising to see that George let him in there. I think he was out front just a little while ago, and he fell to the back of that pack originally, and then he just bounced out again. So the 21 having some issues keeping the car down. Again, I don't think the 21 is going to do too well if he gets stuck out there, has to drop to the back of this field, as we do see the left front quarter panel is all crunched up on that car right now. So,
well, yeah, he was running second. And then I don't know what happened. I think maybe Mark Johnson jumped out and got past him, and then he decided to go with Mark Johnson. Not sure what happened.
Well, could we see the repeat here tonight, Martin? I mean, Hunter was able to pull away the win earlier in the season in May at Talladega. Wonder if he can capture 2 in a row.
Yeah, get the sweep. Yeah, he's asking right now, Husted, does Husted have damage or what's going on? Because there is a gap between them, and he's like, can you get on my bumper? And Husted's not able to get up there right now, so I don't know what's going on. It might, is that an issue with Johnson? Eric Johnson pushing him? You can see they're down on speed too.
Well, and
Johnson only going 188.
They might need to be down on speed right now, Martin, because again, I don't feel as though I don't know if they can make it on fuel, man. It's going to be close. It's going to be real close. Eric Johnson pulls back out to the outside. I don't know if he's trying to make a run to the front all by himself, but
yeah, I wonder if he just had a lot more speed coming off it, and these leaders, are taking their time. I don't know what's going on, and now he's gonna fall all the way to the back of that pack.
They got to be coasting at this point. You don't want to be the guy in the front right now. I really don't think you do. I've seen the fuel runs and how close they can be, and if you're the guy in the back of the pack, you can kind of let off on some of these straightaways and coming out of the corner and not be putting as much into the car as the other guys who are running up front. So if they got to come down and get fuel on 1 or 2 laps to go, well, guess what? All the other guys are going to having been let off for the last 10 laps and not really pushing the car at all to hope that you do that, and they're going to come around at 150 miles an hour and capture a win. So as we see the 98 here, Hunter Johnson pulled out to the outside. It's got to be a fuel thing, Martin. I can't see it being anything else.
Yeah, this is a fuel thing for everyone because
you don't want to be the guy up front because you're using the most fuel to stay there.
Yeah. Well, earlier in the race, I mean, in the front of the pack, people are going 200 miles per hour, and now everyone on the track is going around that 188 to 190. So is everyone just saving for fuel?
I feel like it has to be. There's really nothing else that can be causing it. If the guy in the lead is letting off a little to try to conserve fuel, the guys behind him are going to let off a little to stay back there. They don't want to be that guy out in the front.
Yeah, and those packs further back. Now, of course, Dustin Musial, David Wright, and Chris James. It's only 3 of them, and they're not really on top of each other pushing. And Musial's going about 190 right now.
Yeah, dude, this whole front pack right now, the last time by ran a 52-plus second lap. All the guys in that second pack, including Dustin Musial, David Wright, and the 82 of Chris James, all of them ran about a 50-second lap. So 2 seconds faster in that second pack of cars, and the leaders are all working together. I mean, they've all let off. They're all not pushing the car as hard as it needs to be pushed because they got to make it here on fuel.
Yeah, and then that next little group of cars from 8th on back, Mike Springer. Mike Springer's kind of on his own, but then Mike Springer, Schwartz, Niederhelm, they've all put in about a 51-second lap, so they're going a little bit faster.
Yeah, slower than Musial and Wright, but faster than that lead pack, so this is going to get interesting, man, and I kind of feel bad for Wade Hustad right now, because if he keeps running in that front position, there's no way he's going to make it on fuel here.
All right, now that backpack kind of went to 52 seconds.
Yeah, but Dustin Musial and David Wright, you see them there in the background. They're along with Chris James in the 82, running strong. And Chris James, who sits 1 lap down, might be feeling pretty good about himself right now, as he kind of has the draft of the cars in front of him. He doesn't have to push it on fuel nearly as hard, and he has 1 less lap than all the other cars out on the track, sitting at 29 laps on his tires currently. So he's got a little bit more fuel than those guys up in the front. If they have to come down pit road, Chris James could go all the way around another lap and actually take a victory here. This is going to get crazy at the end, Martin. I really think it is. As we see, Burrows is now exchanged for the lead with Wade Hustad. They're running over a 53-second lap now, so slowing down significantly and trying to conserve every ounce of fuel in the car.
Yeah, okay, so it looks like they're taking it easy on the back stretch, because that front stretch, they got up to 188, same as the Musial and those guys. But then on the back stretch, only 180.
Martin, I don't know if you can go back in the Discord and find out who doesn't mind being interviewed during a race, but I would really like to pull someone in here and see how they're doing down there in that front group of cars. I really got to know what's going through everybody's mind currently.
Oh, I don't know where I'd find that information.
I think it would be under driver questions, towards the beginning of driver questions.
I don't have that anymore. Where is that? Yeah, we don't even have that anymore.
Yeah, it's that's all right. I got it.
Where do you have it? Yeah, I'd be curious to know. Yeah, it looks like, you know, Dustin Musial on that backstretch just there, 190, while the leaders are going about 180 over the same stretch of track. Burrow's in the lead going 180 through the tri-oval, while Musial is going 190, so 10-mile-per-hour distance, and he's closing that gap. But even just from the sound of his engine, it doesn't seem like he, even Musial is going hammer down.
Well, our leader, Anthony Burrows, actually posted that he doesn't mind being interviewed at any point during the race, so I'm going to try to grab him real quick and see exactly what he's thinking. Hopefully he is not under great stress at the moment and not in the middle of a conversation, but I'm going to grab Anthony Burrows and see what he thinks real quick. Anthony Burrows, you got a copy?
Yeah.
Hey, I know we're under green flag, man. I went back quite some time and looked at the driver questions channel to see if you minded being interviewed during green flag racing, but is it a fuel race out there right now? What's going on, man?
Yeah, definitely. We've been going we've been going like half throttle last 10 to 15 laps. I started doing it hoping no one would catch on, but I think the whole field's caught on to it at this point.
So what is it showing right now as far as laps to go?
On fuel?
Yes, sir.
I've saved about 2 laps. I think I'll barely make it to the end, but it's going to be very close.
Well, you're running out there in the front. Maybe you can sneak back behind a couple of the other guys and then come back to the front right at the very end. But best of luck, man. Hopefully it works out for you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yeah, we had a little bit of action going on while you were on that interview. Hunter Johnson almost got down into Matthew George, and then they kind of both went outside. Eric Johnson had a run, but ran right into the rear end of Connor Lane, the lapped car.
Yeah, we saw it there.
It
the 21 almost making contact, or did make contact with the 27, and then tapped that outside wall. This field has tightened up so much, Martin. I don't know if...
Look who's in third place. Dustin Musial.
Dustin Musial's back up there in the 22.
Musial is closing the gap. It's like he's not only closed the gap, he almost went past the leaders.
Well, if you look at this last lap, 49.844 for the 22 of Dustin Musial, a 51.519 for Wade Hustad, who is our current leader. So Dustin Musial pushing with the 30 of, was it the 30 of Matthew George, I think, shoving him up there towards the end. Or no, it wasn't. Who was that was shoving him? David Wright. In the 44.
Yeah, David Wright way back there, yeah.
Now those guys right back in the hunt here, and suddenly we have a, 6-car lead pack rather than a 5-car lead pack? So, Musial, excellent work on his part. We did have more, but you did have David Wright and, who's that just behind David Wright, who kind of separated themselves. Yeah, they didn't completely get in the draft, so Musial pulls high.
Our Jim Westerfield's right there. And then that's Connor Lane, who's a lap down behind Eric Johnson. Where is David?
Okay, so it was just David Wright in the 44 who fell off of that draft after that was with the 82 of Chris James. So they pushed Dustin Musial back up to that front pack and then immediately lost their position right afterwards. So.
Yeah. Well, it got a little like that whole. They kind of caught up, and that was the whole Connor Lane being right there also kind of slowed it and let you kind of latch on. Again, Eric Johnson going to the outside. So even getting into the rear end of Connor Lane, Eric Johnson is going to shoot to the front.
Well, Burrows says
on
he
that
thinks he
outside
has
line.
enough to make it to the end. He said he felt like he saved about 2 laps, and Eric Johnson is making a strong push to the outside of Wade Hustad in the 32. I don't know if this is something Eric Johnson has up his sleeve, but how is he moving so fast on the outside of this track all by himself?
Well, it's that momentum you get coming out of the corner. Well, there goes Dustin Musial. Maybe Musial has run out of fuel, so he burned it up.
Yeah,
catching
that's
up, and now
strong
he's going down pit road.
push. Him and the
Wow.
44 David Wright
I was
made
just gonna wonder.
to catch back up to that lead pack with 5 to go. He does have to come down and get fuel.
All right, so now the question is, where are Jim Westerfield and Eric Johnson on fuel? Because they seem to be pushing.
Yeah,
actually
where are they
driving out there
going?
with some speed, whereas Hustad and Burrows and that group right there, those 4 cars, George and Johnson and Burrows, they're all saving it right now. It looks like. Are Eric Johnson, Jim Westerfield all in? Do they have enough to go the whole way? And just a few laps ago, when Eric Johnson got into the rear end of Connor Lane, I thought that was it for his race. I thought he was going to drop right out. And here he is battling for the lead. He's got Jim Westerfield, who was, again, way back there with Dustin Musial in that pack. And he's worked his way up there. And he's, today we could see Eric Johnson or Jim Westerfield get their first DRL win. Couple guys up here. Matthew George also. He's still looking for his first win. So we got 3 non-playoff drivers at this point.
Yeah, well, Jim
Right
Westerfield, the
back.
number 4, is actually a lap down. He runs 13.
Oh, is he a lap down?
currently.
Okay, I wasn't checking that.
Yes, sir. And then Dustin Musial with that most recent pit. He is the last car on the lead lap. Currently sits 37 seconds back. So, I mean, it's
Jim
Wade Hustad,
Westerfield-
Eric Johnson, Burrows, Matthew George, David Wright, possibly, as him and the 82 of Chris James are trying to sneak up to the back of this front pack. I mean, the top 5 is still relatively the same. The big things to watch out for is how much fuel does Eric Johnson have as he continues to run that outside line.
Well, what's good about having that lapped car pushing you is that the lapped car is probably not going to try to steal the win from you because he really can't. So you do have sort of a loyal pusher there. And here comes Chris James shooting through the middle.
Whoa, everybody's letting off hard, Martin. I'm almost questioning whether somebody's run out of fuel here or not. The 98-100 Johnson
Look
up
at
here.
Chris James.
Oh,
Just
man.
fires through that gap.
These guys are letting off hard as everyone's pushing it
Unfortunately
on
for Chris
fuel
James, he's down a lap, but if everyone runs out of fuel and he can get around, I mean, he could.
Well, I talked about him earlier, Martin. Chris James could have another lap of fuel left in the car. I think it would be wise of him to just let off right now. These guys still have to go 2 miles around this track.
Yeah, if they all sputter out and they just sit there short of the finish line,
This is
he
going
could
to be
come around
close.
theoretically.
And the 21 of Eric Johnson pulls off of the racing surface. So looks like
He's
Eric
out of
Johnson's
fuel.
all done. So they can coast from here to the end. There's no way Chris James will be able to go around and get it. It looks like he's run out of fuel now after pushing as hard as he did. Hunter Johnson in the back of the 32 of Wade Hustad, and they're coming around to the green flag, Martin. One straightaway. Another
Matthew
car
George
falls off.
Whoa.
The 62 of Burrows trying to get around the 98-100 Johnson. And that looks like it's going to be it. Oh, Wade Hustad gets turned by Anthony Burrows, and Burrows is able to get the win at the last second. So the 62 of
Wow.
Anthony Burrows actually captures the win on the outside of the 32 of Wade Hustad. Unbelievable finish here at Talladega.
Wow, that is the most aggressive. I mean, we saw Burrows drive right into Chris James last week at Dover when he was getting a block, and he
had to do.
That's
I don't think
something
he
we
had a
didn't-
choice. He had the fuel. The 32 of Hustad didn't have the fuel. He pushed him out of the way,
Was
and he
Hustad
took
out?
the victory
Yeah.
by.
Hustad
He
might
took
have
the
been out,
victory
yeah.
by inches. I mean, what a finish there at the end. We're gonna go watch that one more time.
Yeah, watching Houston. Yeah, Hustad's out. He just kind of drains, and
Here's the 62 at Burrows to the outside of Hunter Johnson. Looks like to be losing a little bit of space as they come to the tri-oval. Hunter Johnson completely stalls and tries to pull up and put the block on the 62. And then Wade Hustad also runs out of fuel and tries to do the same. So these
Yeah,
guys
I
were
mean,
just trying to block
you have to
Burrows
look
from
at
taking the
Burrows.
win.
Well, you look at Burrows' speed. Burrows is going 194. He's going from 177 and dropping right in front of him. So there's nothing.
Burrows
right
was
there.
coming to get
Burrows.
that, and there were two drivers trying to keep him away from getting it. So Hunter Johnson tried to pull up in front of him. Hustad tried to pull up in front of him, and Anthony Burrows is still able to get around both those cars, keep it straight, and grab the win. What a finish at Talladega.
Yeah, Burrows gets his 12th win of the season. He's already locked into the next round with the win at Dover. And he takes that away from Hustad, takes away the locking Hustad into the next round. Hustad's going to be fine. He's going to be fine to get in the next round as long as he shows up next week. But Burrows snags another win.
You guys hear the 62 here of Anthony Burrows spitting and sputtering down the back straight. Might not even make it back to his pit stall as we pull up the unofficial results. Anthony Burrows with 10 laps led, able to sneak in the crazy victory at Talladega. I'm so glad that came down to a fuel run there. That was super exciting to watch. He has 10 laps led and finishes first. Wade Hustad with 32 laps led. His car number finishes in the second position. Hunter Johnson gets third, our previous winner at Talladega this year, with 9 laps led. Matthew George finishes fourth. David Wright in the fifth position. Jonathan Schwartz finishes sixth. Seventh goes to John Theodore. Eighth to Eric Johnson. Ninth, Dustin Musial. And 12th to Mike Springer. We got Sam Niederhelm in the 11th spot. 12th goes to Jim Westerfield. 13th to Thomas Harmon. 14th goes to Connor Lane. 15th, Chris James. 16th, Alec Martinez. Chad Presnall in the 17th spot. 18th goes to Caden Honeycutt. The 0-2 of Joseph Helton, 19th. 20th, John Mullins. And then David Wellborn pulls up the 21st position. Kean Riley Howell did not actually compete this evening.
Yeah, didn't come out on the truck.
Oh, man, what a crazy finish.
Yeah, that car actually in the apron was Thomas Harmon, and he was out of fuel.
Well, I'm going to go down. I got to grab Anthony Burrows and just, I want to talk to the winner of that race to start things off. I mean, we wished him the best of luck. He was able to drop back and get back to the front there at the very end with fuel. What an exciting finish to that race. He's got to be excited. Anthony Burrows, you got a copy, man?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Oh, my gosh. What a finish there. That was so fun to watch. Hunter Johnson tries to put the block. You're able to keep the car straight. Wade Hustad tries the same, and you still come away with the victory, man. How's it feel?
That was amazing. Definitely didn't expect to come in here and win Talladega. Not really the best at these restrict plate races. But definitely got lucky towards the end there. I guess that's really all you need sometimes on these. And of all people, I thought Wade would be the one person to make it all the way to the end. He's pretty good at saving fuel. But yeah, that was crazy. I don't know how I got through Hunter and Wade coming to the line there. Those are some pretty close calls coming to the finish, but yeah, all those last 20 laps are just incredible. It was a ton of fun.
Well, you win it by about 1/10 of a second, just able to hold Hustad off. I don't know how he couldn't stay in front of you. I knew he was running out there for a long time. There's no way he was saving fuel. And then you took the lead for a little while when we brought you in for that interview. Able to save just enough and come away with your second victory in this round of the playoffs. Already had yourself locked into the next round. That's going to make things pretty wild next week with nobody else locked in, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I haven't really driven the car next week for Kansas, but I'm sure it'll be a good race for sure.
Well, congratulations on a win at Talladega. I think that's one thing you were missing here is a restrictor plate win this year, and now you got yourself one, man. You got a shout out you want to give to anybody before we let you go?
Definitely shout out to everyone during that race. That was a very clean but hard racing at the same time. Ton of fun saving fuel. Didn't expect we'd be doing that at Talladega, but we did. And shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast as always. Cool. And James and everyone for putting on this league. Can't wait for next week.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you next week at Kansas. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.
That was Anthony Burrows, our first place finisher for this evening. Now we are going to bring in Wade Hustad, who finishes second. Wade Hustad, you got a copy?
Yeah, I do, Ryan.
Hey, you did everything you could to hold Anthony Burrows off of there at the end, man. What was that like, those last few laps? Nerve-wracking or what?
Oh man, I'm still laughing about that. I can't even comprehend having a race come down to something like that. But everybody was going half, three-quarters throttle. Underneath that yellow, I had the engine shut off, so I thought I'd maybe have enough, but I just started going just as fast as everyone else, and my ticker said, shit, I think I had like 1.4 to the good at the white flag, and Hunter Johnson came flying around the outside. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to pin it and see if we can go. But I was watching it just slowly tick on down. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it. The start-finish line's not, in the middle of this front stretch. So Anthony came flying around, and, I had to do something. I don't block. I don't race that way. But with the way that race was super crazy, I had to move up the track and at least try to get Anthony to check up a little bit. So hopefully it was great for everybody. That is an unexpected, atypical kind of race.
Yeah, very fun to watch. Extremely good work on your part. I mean, forecasting the fact that, maybe this thing would come down to a fuel run and letting off during that caution flag, because I'm sure not everybody did that. And maybe hurt yourself by leading a little too much there in that last stint. What do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. As soon as my ticker started going below what we had left for laps, I was thinking, oh boy, I really don't want to be in the lead. So I don't recall if I let anybody around me, but I just started checking up enough for Hunter to think, what the heck's going on? So he jumped out, took the lead, so I could at least kind of sniff his draft a little bit. But Anthony, I saw him sitting in fourth or fifth that whole time, and I was thinking that little son of a gun, he's saving. I know he is. So he had just a little bit more at the end of that race, and I don't know if there's anything more we could have done, but I just hate to see what happened to Chad. That was kind of a really bad deal. I took out a lot of the field too. So either way, I'm happy with second. We just got to carry that momentum into the playoffs here and get to that final round, and from there we'll race it out.
Well, good news is one driver didn't show up tonight. Seems like yourself, with your finish is definitely safe. Presnell seems to be okay for now. He's definitely going to have to come out and race at Kansas, and I know you guys put in the prep every week, so hopefully that comes to fruition, and we'll see you guys in the top 8. You got a shout out you want to give to anybody tonight?
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys, DRL. The league is awesome. What you guys do is wonderful. You guys put in the time. Anyone else that's either listening or a fan of the series, check with the guys. We're looking for people to join the league, whether it's to help out. But on top of that, if you're just looking to race too, feel free to apply. We have a winter series, everything else within DRL. So it's a pretty awesome series for people that are looking to join or are interested. So one thing too, I just want to mention, Chad is the reigning champ at Kansas. So we got to get him locked into the next round. So that's going to be the goal for next week.
Well, I'll push him to a victory, man. I hope to see you guys both in the top 8 because it'll make for some exciting racing as this season comes to a close, man. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Well, that was Wade Hustad, our second place finisher for this evening. We're going to go down and grab Hunter Johnson, who started in third, finishes fifth tonight after... started in fifth, finishes third tonight after almost making that push to the win there at the end. Tried to hold Anthony Burrows off, and it looked like he might have snuck around Wade Hustad as well with his sputtering motor. But go down and see what Hunter Johnson has to say. If I can find him here. Martin, you got Hunter Johnson anywhere, or am I missing something?
Hunter Johnson.
I think you might have lost him. Doesn't seem to be in chat currently. Matthew George.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to grab Matthew George, who finishes in the 4th spot. Matthew George, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, this might be my first interview with you. You come away with the 4th place finish, trailing there for, I don't know, the mid-section of the race. You were with Dustin Musial running in a second pack behind the leaders. Able to get back up with the lead pack there in that last stint because of the caution flag, and you come away with the 4th place finish. How's it feel, buddy?
Feels good to survive. I think that that one big wreck, I was actually involved in it. Don't know how I got away unscathed. I actually got 12.5 seconds of repairs. The fact that I was actually able to race there with the leaders at the end was amazing, that I could keep up with the little bit of damage I had. But getting a top 5 here at Dega feels good. This league has a lot of really fast guys. Been in a lot of leagues, and this is probably the toughest league I've ever seen. So to get a top 5 here really feels good.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment for the Dynasty Racing League. We hope to make an environment where everybody come out here and race their heart out and really have to push themselves in order to get victories or even top 5s. As I know I haven't captured but 1 or 2 in this Cup Series. So you started in 20th tonight. What was qualifying like for you? Were you unable to post a time, or were you just not comfortable in the qualifying lap?
No, me and my teammate and friend Jim had a plan just to stay in the back, ride it out for the first maybe half, or at least until the first big one happened. Just to ride it out, see how it was. I think this was our first plate track here in the Dynasty Racing League. So we didn't really know what to expect. So we just decided to ride it out. And then when that, I think, first little wreck there on the backstretch happened, we decided to go for it.
Yeah, definitely needed a caution to occur in order to make that strategy work, but I used it multiple times throughout this week the last week in those official series races. So Talladega, a caution's going to come out at some point. You just hope it's not on the last lap or second to last lap and it causes some issues and you end up getting stuck back in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th or whatever. So you do get the 4th place finish, starting 20th. Great finish for you. We're going to see you back next year for the Cup Series here in DRL?
Definitely. I would prefer Xfinity or Grand Nationals. I personally, the Cup cars are like really loose and they're not my style of car. That's why you don't see me up front a lot in the 1.5 mile tracks or anything like that. But I will be back next season. I just don't know what series yet.
Well, if you're running in Grand National, we'd love to see that as well, man. As long as you're a part of the DRL, great finish tonight, and hopefully we'll see you back again next week. You got a shout out you want to give to anybody tonight?
Yeah. You guys for broadcasting the league. The whole league as a general. Mostly my friend Jim Westerfield there. Being a great teammate there the whole race.
Awesome, man. Well, see you next week at Kansas. Go out there and get some practice and get yourself another top 5, buddy.
Sure thing. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Well, I have found Hunter Johnson, our 4th place or our 3rd place finisher. He was hiding on me, so we're actually going to go down and get a quick chat with him before we grab David Wright in the 44. Hunter Johnson, you got a copy?
Maybe.
Maybe. I'll take that as a yes. This is Ryan up in the booth, man. You come away with a 3rd place finish. Tried to swerve up in front of Burrows and took a little bit of damage there. Was it hard to hold on to the car, or were you doing all right?
It was fine. Just kind of got a little annoyed with the fuel saving that we had to do. I mean, we fell like 4 seconds, 5 seconds off the pace. I was just trying to throw a little block there to Houston or to Burrows because I know I was running out of gas. As soon as I come off of 4, it just started sputtering. I figured to block them or just fall back even further. So I tried to throw a little block. Didn't really work. I guess I can be okay with it.
Yeah, definitely wasn't easy. I mean, Burrows led some laps there in that last stint. Wade Hustad obviously leading the most, who came in just ahead of you. But, I mean, Burrows, I don't know what he did to save his fuel the way he did. I know Hustad, he told us during his interview that he kind of telegraphed that all the way back on whatever lap it was, 54 or 55. He said he was saving under caution there. Were you trying to save as well and kind of letting off the gas or shutting the motor off during that caution?
Oh, yeah. I was definitely trying to save as much as I could during that caution. But whenever we got to that run, kind of got out with a good gap, and then we were running behind Wade, seeing him started saving, like really backing us all up. So we were wondering, I passed him, I was like, huh. And I looked how much I needed to save. I was like, oh, that's what he's doing. And I pulled out, dropped to the rear. A couple of times I felt confident where I just full throttle, got a run, shut off the motor, clutch it in, just toasted like halfway through the corner before I picked it back up. Tried to save as much as I could, and evidently it didn't work.
Everybody had different strats. Some guys able to save just ounces more than others. You still come away with the third place finish, man. Congratulations. Hopefully we'll see you back again next week at Kansas. You getting ready for that one already?
Yeah, I'm ready. We did a little practice session earlier, and I felt confident. So we'll see what happens.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you back next week. You got a shout out you want to get to anybody tonight?
Yep. Thanks to y'all in the booth. Thanks to the Dynasty Racing League Cup Series. Y'all do good every week in, week out. Thank the SWA team, Caden Honeycutt. I know he ended up getting wrecked with Thomas Harmon. That sucks in that little pack. And then thanks to my spotter, PJ O'Leary. He was giving me a little tips at the end of the race.
Awesome, man. Well, you have a wonderful night, and see you back next week.
Thanks, you too.
That was Hunter Johnson. He was our third place finisher tonight, and a little bit out of order, but we'll go down and grab David right now if he is still around and hopefully get an interview with him. He might have left already. Martin, you see David Wright around? I think he is out for the evening.
I do not. All right, well.
Yeah, and I think he said, see you later. But it was impressive, I think, for the 44 of David Wright to move back up and get a fifth place finish. I mean, Dustin Musial ended up coming in ninth. It didn't work out for him, and he had to come down for fuel, maybe pushing a little too hard. But Wright was in that group with them, and they pushed back there at the end, able to catch back up to the lead pack, and Wright sneaks out the fifth place. I mean, they couldn't really ask for better, could they?
No, they couldn't. I mean, that was like those guys were kind of just out of it a few laps earlier, and then they just shot right back up there. And watching those cars just with a ton of speed jump right back into it because of the saving tactics, and and just be able to survive and finish where they did. And that's what you need to do. That's what they need to do. All like Musial, right? Those are good races for those guys. And so now they head into Kansas.
Yeah,
the cut race.
I told you guys tonight was going to be exciting. Next race of the current series. Yeah. Tonight was great. I can't get over how that finished. I'm so glad it came down to a fuel finish like it did, because I've been in that situation, and it is absolutely so fun to drive the car not really knowing whether you've got what it takes or not, and whether the guy in front of you, outside of you, inside of you has what it takes or not. And just the blocks that people tried to put on there, and that the closing, meters of the race was super exciting. But we come back next week at Kansas, and in Kansas City, that is 200 miles, I think, there, 133 laps at Kansas Speedway. That's a mile-and-a-half track. It's going to be back to basics. I mean, these guys are going to have to run those nice tight lines, keep everything very consistent, and get in the corner, get out of the corner properly, and it should be a super fun race. Next broadcast period on the Dynasty Racing League TV, that it will be Talladega tomorrow night for the Talladega 185, right back here in Lincoln, Alabama at the Talladega Superspeedway. So 70 laps in the trucks tomorrow. Me and Martin will both be participating in that one. I can't wait. I got a little bit of practice this week, ran some B cars, ran some trucks. I can't wait for that one tomorrow. You ready to get out there and hit some bumpers with some other guys and go 200 miles an hour in a truck, Martin?
Yes, I am.
It's going to be exciting. Hopefully neither one of us gets wrecked, and me and you can be out there for that exciting finish like they were here tonight.
Yeah, I need a good finish.
Yeah, we all do. That's for sure. I mean, even for me, I'm out of the playoffs at this point, but I can't wait, man. Talladega is my favorite track to run on. It really is fun to run. So big shout out to all the guys involved with the Dynasty Racing League, James Pandoff and Tater Bowman, the owners, for running everything here in the DRL. Martin, yourself, for all these awesome graphics that you give us every week. Everything you guys see on the screen is done by him, and previously Jordan Gonzalez, who helped us out with all of this stuff to get started. David Wellborn Jr., Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Getty Buckner, and Jason Taylor for all of your broadcasting on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Dynasty Racing League TV, and Eric Weatherholtz for running that Indy League this year. All the admins involved with the DRL do a great job, keep everything on track here, and really make this league what it is. Of course, we wouldn't be a league if it wasn't for all of the drivers in the DRL. Thank you all for showing up this evening and every night and racing with all of us. And shout out to all the viewers for tuning in this evening. We know we had some issues early on with YouTube, and I think it was down all over the world for the most part, but I'm glad some of you were able to tune in for the end of this race. We will see you back next week at about 9:25 here with DRL at Kansas. Martin, you got anything else for the viewers before we sign out of here this evening?
Well, see you tomorrow night.
Have a good one, gents. Wish me and Martin the best of luck tomorrow evening. See you later.